back to the show, everybody. James Rule XRP. It is Tuesday evening in Southeast Texas. It may be morning there. It may be noon. It may be evening. People from around the world enjoy my channel, and I enjoy getting this content out to you. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto teacher, and I tell you what, today I'm going to show you some video clips. I usually don't show many video clips, but today I'm going to show you the clown show that took place during the Senate hearing committee with the lead of the U.S. Treasury Department. A couple of guys knew what they were talking about, and a lady in particular had no clue what she was talking about. But before we get started, look, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto teacher. I've been doing this for about 4 years. Follow me on X/Twitter at RuleXRP. Today's episode is sponsored in part by Monerex. Monerex is a company that is bringing banking to the unbanked in Mexico. They're located in Tulum, Mexico. I am going to be interviewing the CEO tomorrow. They're building on top of the XRP ledger. And check this out. You can get the MXI token on top of the XRP ledger. You set the trust line with your Zaman wallet. You have several options. You can trade in Sologenic, Magnetic, the Zaman Dex, and on XRP. Check it out. Monerex. There's a link in the description below. Yeah, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, there will be an Ask Me Anything with Monerex CEO Mark Otto, building on the XRP ledger. And we're going to talk about the MXI token. Let's take a look at the numbers. CoinPaprika.com, total market cap, $2.697 trillion. Bitcoin's at $69,420. Ethereum is at $35.22. Everything's down a little bit. Solana, XRP's at 62.2. It's maintaining. It's up just a smidge. Cardano's down. Stellar's down. HBOR's down. VeChain is hanging in there, 4.4 pennies. Flare's up a little bit to 4 cents. Casper, Vitho, Songbird is at 1.2 pennies. You know, we're getting some volatility, but that's okay. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Everything's going to be okay. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name. He is the Deputy Secretary of the Department of the Treasury in the United States. Well, he states that crypto is financing terrorism, blah, 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 blah. And I said, these MFers are more criminal than the terrorists they're talking about. How many billions of dollars are passed under the table to politicians? And this idiot is trying to stifle this technology in the United States. Well, Senator Tim Scott disagrees with these accusations. Senator Tim Scott is from South Carolina. He is a ranking member of the banking GOP. He is pro-crypto, and he stated here that enough is enough. He disagrees with the assumption of crypto being an illicit activity by the Treasury Department, and it mentions pallets of money or cash going to Iran. Have a listen.
Written question, Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Listening to you today, Deputy Secretary, it feels like digital assets has become the scapegoat of this administration because with all that's going on in the world, the only legislative requests you have sent to this committee are new authorities related to cryptocurrency. And I will say that if China buys about 90% of the Iranian oil and we make it easier to sell the Iranian oil, if in last August we saw $6 billion transferred to the Iranians for, in my opinion, hostage relief, $10 billion allowing electricity waivers. None of that's happening in digital assets. They're literally using our cash. We're making it easier for them to use euros. The bottom line is this, that if $35 billion represents the export of oil from Iran, none of which is purchased using digital assets, having a conversation simply and exclusively about digital assets misses the elephant in the room, that every single time we make it easier for the Iranian regime to receive resources from the United States in cash, pallets of cash, or through electricity waivers, use euros or license, we put more and more Americans and our allies in harm's way, and that includes Israel. And so for us to have a conversation that sounds like a digital asset conversation, as opposed to a conversation about illicit financing that is far larger than digital assets, to me, makes it into a scapegoat.
Written question.
There you go.
Senator Scott.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry. We're not going to replay it, but Senator Tim Scott is on the money. You know, the Treasury Department is saying crypto bad, banks good. Crypto bad, banks good. Crypto bad, illicit activities, terrorism, blah, blah, blah. Banks good. We don't want this technology in the United States because they are competing with the banks, and we don't want you and him and her and your daughter and your father and your sister and your mother to be rich, because we are the elite of the Treasury Department and the U.S. government. Let's keep going. All right. Now, you're going to get a kick out of this clip here because Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana, which is right next door to me, he is U.S. Senator from Louisiana. He is very mouthy. He pretty much throws it down against this gentleman with the Treasury Department. And have a listen. I said that Senator John Kennedy gives 0 Fs versus Deputy Secretary of the Department of the Treasury. Kick back, grab your popcorn, and have a listen to this.
Senator Kennedy from Louisiana is recognized. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, the Biden administration has operated as Iran's best friend, hasn't it?
No, I disagree completely, Senator.
Well, Iran sold Iraq $10 billion, not million, $10 billion worth of electricity, but Iraq couldn't pay them because of our sanctions against Iran. Biden administration waived those sanctions, didn't it?
Senator,
So that Iran could get $10 billion. Isn't that a fact?
No, Senator, those waivers started under the Trump administration. That money is still in Iraq. That money has never been to Tehran. It will never go to Tehran.
The first waiver was on July 2023, wasn't it?
Senator, I believe those waivers started in 2018.
The first waiver that the Biden administration did was July of 2023, wasn't it?
So, Senator, again, I believe the waiver program started in.
You didn't issue a waiver on July of 2023,
Senator, the waivers were continued into 2023.
and you issued another waiver to get the money to Iran in November of 2023, didn't you?
Senator, as I said, that money has never been, will never go to Iran. The money is still in Iraq. The money may be used for humanitarian purposes, but not a dollar of that money.
And you issued another waiver on March of 2024, not too long ago. That was 6 weeks after Iran killed 3 American soldiers.
Senator,
You gave Iraq permission to give Iran $10 billion, didn't you?
No, Senator. As I mentioned, this was something that started in 2018 under the Trump administration. It allowed Iraq to purchase electricity and to store that money in Iraq. None of that money to date will ever go to Iran. The money is being held for humanitarian purposes.
You're not telling the truth, Mr. Secretary. No disrespect, but that's just not true. Senator Menendez and Senator Scott made the point. We all know, unless you peaked in high school, you know that money is fungible. The Biden administration also paid Iran $6 billion to release 5 of our prisoners, didn't it?
Senator, again, that money is in Qatar. None of that money has been used. It hasn't been moved. And as I said earlier, while money is fungible in the United States because we care about our people, it's not fungible for the Iranian.
So the money's in Qatar, in a bank in Qatar?
Yes.
Now, what do you think? Who controls that bank in Qatar?
Those banks are controlled by those individuals who run that financial institution.
I see. So if President Biden says Qatar Bank, don't give this money to Iran, and the Qatar government says give the money to Iran, who do you think the Qatar Bank's going to listen to, Mr. Secretary?
So, Senator, those banks in Qatar value greatly their ability to have a relationship with the United States because that's how they make money.
Do you believe in the tooth fairy?
ultimately, if we cut off those banks, they will no longer be able to make money.
Do you believe in the Easter Bunny?
So, Senator, while I understand your point, fundamentally, none of that money has gone to Iran, and that money is not going to go directly to Iran.
Now, you did the same thing with Maduro, you meaning the Biden administration. You guys did the same thing with Maduro in Venezuela. You removed all the sanctions on oil and mining, including gold, with Maduro, the dictator of Venezuela, didn't you?
So GL 44 and 43 were put in place in Venezuela. 43 has already.
Is that a yes?
GL 43 has been removed.
So you said, okay, Maduro, we're going to remove Maduro, best friends with Iran and Cuba and China and Russia. The Biden administration removed the sanctions on oil and mining in Venezuela.
Senator,
And Maduro said, I promise you that I'll hold a free and fair election. And then he put all his opponents in jail. And the Biden administration has done nothing, hasn't it, except stand there sucking on its teeth.
So, Senator, I want to say again, we provided general licenses. We did not remove the sanctions. The reason we did that was because we did not trust. So what we can do
The
with those
sanctions on Maduro's oil are not there, are they?
General License 44, which gives permission for the sale of oil, expires on April 17th, which will then put those sanctions back in place. We did not remove the sanctions.
The problem you folks have is that you want to quote Socrates in the middle of a bar fight. Iran is not our friend. Venezuela is not our friend. President Biden keeps giving them money to buy weapons to try to kill us.
Senator,
do you not understand that?
Sanctions on the Iranian regime. We have not allowed $1 from Qatar or from the Iraqi electricity fund to flow to Iran.
That's just not true. Senator Menendez explained that to you.
The money.
How can you be that obtuse?
Senator, as I've said, our goal is to make sure that we take every action to prevent Iran's destabilizing activity in the region. We're going to continue to go after Iran's sale of oil and try and limit their ability as best we can using the tools that you've given us. I'm here before the Senate asking for additional tools that will allow us to continue to do that.
Okay, Senator Kennedy made your point. Senator.
Oh, man, I tell you what, we need more Senator John Kennedys in office. He threw it down there. The guy almost stuttered, but I'm surprised he spit out what he did. Now, before I show you this last video, I want to thank all the new subscribers to the James Rule Crypto Show. Make sure you share my channel with those out there that are wanting to see some entertainment, maybe get educated a little bit on blockchain technology. But I save the best for last because, and I'm going to give you a synopsis of this. Well, the Wicked Witch of Crypto, who is Senator Elizabeth Warren, has no clue of how blockchain works, much less as to the validator's functionality. And you're going to hear her talk about validators and nodes, blah, 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 blah. It makes me sick that these idiots in office are stifling technology in the United States. We are doomed until we get these old hags out of office. Mr. Tillis must be in bed with Elizabeth Warren because he pretty much says crypto bad, crypto bad, bad. Here, have a listen. Have a good one. My name is James Rule, XRP. I told you so.
The broader issue, cartels now, it's passé to launder the old way. Cartels use digital and crypto platforms to launder at scale. And by scale, I mean in the billions. I think it'd be very helpful. I got a briefing about 1.5 years ago from DEA. I mentioned this to Senator Warren before. I think it'd be very helpful to have a joint classified briefing, to have Treasury and DEA in the room and see how we can, if we get right here and we implement a good regulatory regimen, we're going to put cartels, transnational criminal organizations, and terrorist organizations in a much more difficult position to move cash around because now they're doing it really without any obstacles whatsoever.
Thank you. Senator Warren of Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you, Deputy Adeyemo. And thank you, Senator Tillis. I just want to follow up in the same area. And if I can, I want to lay a little background here. In November, after reports that Hamas had received millions of dollars in crypto funding in the months before its terrorist attack on Israel, Treasury wrote a letter requesting Congress's help in closing the gaps in our anti-money laundering rule. Deputy Adeyemo, can you explain why you sent us this letter? What were you seeing that caused you to send us this letter asking for us to change the law?
Senators, I spoke to my team about increasingly targeting Hamas's financial network. What I was seeing was the fact that as we went after their traditional financial resources and banks, that they were going to turn to other means of financing that could frankly even be faster and harder for us to track in cryptocurrency. And yesterday, I had an opportunity to sit down with the families of Americans who are being held hostage by Hamas today. And they asked me, what, if anything, can we do to cut off their finances? And I explained to them the actions we're taking in the traditional financial sector, but told them, frankly, that one of the places where we need additional tools is to be able to make sure that we don't allow Hamas to build up assets in the digital ecosystem using virtual currencies that are hard for us to track, because that is money that they will use to continue to come after not only Israel, but also to destabilize the region.
So how is it right now that Hamas has access to money or some form of financing for themselves?
They are increasingly, in my view, turning to alternative means of financing given what we've done in terms of their ability to do the traditional financial system.
So what does it mean, alternative means of financing?
One of those is cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is a means that while we're using every tool we have, we need additional tools to go after.
Okay, and it's not just Hamas and terrorists that are using crypto financing. North Korea, ransomware gangs, drug traffickers, distributors of child sexual abuse materials, name your bad guy. And crypto is the way that they can move money around. Now, your letter that you sent to Congress follows a basic principle. Activities with similar functions and similar risks should follow similar rules. So I want to look at an example of that. I want to look at one of the middlemen examples, validators. So validators are the middlemen between the payor and the receiver, and they help process crypto transactions. In the traditional banking world, if a bank transacts with somebody who's laundering money, then they are breaking the law. But validators in the crypto world don't have that same set of rules. Are there crypto validators right now that are processing transactions for North Korea and pocketing a fee for each of those transactions? Same for Hamas, same for drug lords and child traffickers.
There's reporting that I am familiar with that's public about the fact that those threat actors that you've mentioned are conducting that type of activity.
Okay, so bad guys can use crypto right now because we don't have the right rules to keep them out. But I think it's worse than that. We know, for example, that Iran, one of Hamas's biggest funders, makes millions of dollars validating transactions for others that have no connection to Hamas or Iran. So if I wanted to send $1,000 worth of crypto to you, Mr. Secretary, is it possible that when I just send it, to send this, that Iran could be our validator and would be collecting a fee processing our crypto? All of that without either one of us knowing it?
Senator, a transaction like that is certainly possible.
Okay, so Iran, which is subject to all kinds of sanctions, is moving money through crypto and actually making millions of dollars validating crypto transactions for Americans and for everyone else, all because we don't have the right anti-money laundering rules in place. One more quick question. If the crypto market grows and the number of crypto transactions increases, Does that mean more money would likely end up in Iran's pockets?
Everything that we've seen says that when markets grow, threat actors use them more, and we should expect that that is what would happen here as well.
Okay, and more activity, more money. You know, currently the House is working on a bill to create a regulatory framework for stablecoins. Stablecoins make it easier to convert dollars into crypto and crypto into dollars. So they are an on-ramp into the crypto world. If we're going to create new on-ramps, increasing traffic, which is exactly what the House bill does, then we need a regulatory framework that will put the rules for anti-money laundering in place so that we do not have more opportunities for Iran and terrorists and drug lords and human traffickers to make more money. We've got to get those AML rules in place. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.